The kidney and how it works is one of the more difficult subjects at GCSE. This video will break the subject down into smaller topics, and by the end you'll be able to answer any questions which might come up for any examination board. The function of the kidney is twofold. Firstly, it balances the water in the body. This is called osmoregulation. And secondly, it removes urea and unwanted salts. Many of the questions at GCSE start with a labelling exercise. It's important that you know the structure of the whole urinary system and also the kidney itself. In the excretory system, blood is brought to the kidney by a branch of the aorta called the renal artery, and it's taken away from the kidney by a branch of the vena cava called the renal vein. Don't forget that blood entering the kidney needs to be cleaned and needs to have the urea removed, whilst blood leaving the kidney in the renal vein has been cleaned already. The urine consisting of excess water, salts and urea is taken from the kidneys to the bladder via a tube called the ureter. The bladder begins to fill with urine until it triggers stretch receptors in the wall of the bladder, which signal to the body that it needs emptying. The urine travels from the bladder to the outside via a tube called the urethra. You must get the spelling of ureter and urethra correct in the exam. A longitudinal section through the kidney shows three main regions. The cortex is on the outside, the medulla is in the middle, this is sometimes called the medullary pyramids, whilst the pelvis is in the centre. The kidney is packed with around 1 million structures called nephrons. These nephrons start in the cortex of the kidney and loop down into the medulla and back into the cortex again. The nephron is the basic filter unit of the kidney. The arteriole leading into the glomerulus is wider than the one leaving, so high pressure builds up and ultrafiltration leads to small molecules being forced into the Bowman's capsules. These small molecules are water, salts, glucose and urea. Molecules such as protein cannot be filtered as they're too large. As the filtrate passes into the proximal tubule, that's the first coil tubule, 100% of the glucose is reabsorbed by active transport. As the rest of the filtrate travels through, some of the water and salts are reabsorbed according to the body's needs. This is called selective reabsorption. Water is taken back via the loop of Henle in the collecting duct. Finally, the concentrated urine is passed along the collecting duct to the ureter and bladder. The hypothalamus is a part of the brain which detects the level of the water in the blood. If the concentration of the water is too low, the pituitary gland in the brain secretes antidiuretic hormone. This is known as ADH. This travels through the bloodstream to the kidney, where it acts on the cells of the collecting duct, making them more permeable to water. Therefore, more water is reabsorbed from the tubule back into the blood and less urine is made. The hypothalamus then senses that the blood is at the correct concentration and the pituitary stops secreting ADH. This is another good example of negative feedback in biology.